When I was a boy, my mother would carry the whole family down to the store in town, the general store. And that's where we got our groceries. They would put them on the tab, and they would put all the groceries for the month on the tab and write them all down. Wouldn't charge you anything. And at the end of the month, we'd go pay the bill, whatever it was. And, oh yeah, and they would deliver them to your house too. But in that store, I just loved to go there because they had everything, flour in 50-pound bags and things like that. But anyway, the butcher, I really loved the butcher because I'd go back in and I'd watch him. And the people would come and they were very, you know, they knew what they wanted. He would cut the meat right there and chop it up and grind whatever they wanted right there in front of them. And I'd go back there and they had this big scale and he could see that side, his side of the scale, and you could see your side of the scale. But anyway, sometimes ladies would come up there and they would order some meat and everything. He'd chop it, but before he did it, he would lay up some lay up some butcher paper, some pink-looking butcher paper. He had a system, and then some wax paper. But before he did any of the weighing or putting the meat up there on top of the thing to where they could see it, he would have this little adjustment thing, and he would adjust it back to zero. You weren't going to pay for that butcher paper and that wax paper. You were going to pay for the meat only. Well, that leads me into this, what I wanted to talk about tonight. And that was this one little verse here, which is just another way that I always like to find another way of expressing the difference between the true gospel, which is 100% grace, and works. Over here, and people that try to slip works in, they like to fudge. They want to put something in there. They don't, even the wax paper. It might be something. It might not seem like anything, but men try to add something to it. The will of man. They try to put the will of man in there some kind of way. But the Bible says, nor of the will of man, nor of the will of man. But anyway, right here, Paul is talking about in Romans 11:6. Anyway, this is talking about the remnant that God had set aside. But it says right here, it said, and if by grace, then it is no more works. Otherwise, grace is no more grace. There is a sentence. That is a mouthful, brother, right there. And if by grace, then it is no more works. In other words, it can't be works if it's by grace. You can't mix the two. Otherwise, grace is no more grace. In other words, you put you put the wax paper in there, and it's not grace anymore. You see what I'm saying? But if it be of works, then it is no more grace. Say, otherwise, works is no more works. So you can't. That one little verse is all I want to talk about tonight. Romans 11:6. Grace is no more grace when you put something with it, brothers and sisters. It's 100% grace or God's love for the individual. That's what I'm going to put. You can't mix the two. You can't put any little wax paper up there, and you can't fudge even a little bit, brothers and sisters. Or either grace won't be grace anymore. So that's what we believe. That's what I believe the true gospel is. That it's a gospel of grace. Nothing, no movement of the human will involved in it. But anyway, I got to finish up this video. Oh, we got company coming over. Anyway, we got grandkids probably outside. Peace and love. I'm so bored down here in Alabama.